Manangani Vākrānaśķakṣuśrotramatu Alamindriyāni ca sarvāni Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastvanirakaraname astu Taratmani nirateya Upanishadsu dharmaste mayi santu Te mayi santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So now, these verses, which is 1.4 to 1.8, which were saying that there is a presence. The two questions were, what is the presence and what is the nature of the presence? They were answered, and they were answered at two levels. What are the two levels? One is, it's talking about Sat Chit Ananda, without whose presence nothing can occur, but also the specifics of what made ears ear, what made eyes eyes, what made prana what prana is, which is Ishvara, that also was here. And every or each one of these words, it ends with one same line, which says, Tadeva Brahma Swam Vidhi Na Idam Yat Idam Upasate. So what it means is that this is what is the reality which needs to be understood. If you have any other understanding other than what is revealed here, then that is not what is. So that means if your mind is still imagining something else other than what is being said, right? Even after listening, if it is still thinking about something else, then that is not what is meant by reality. So what it also shows is that there is a certain effort before the mind reaches what Upanishads want to reveal. Exactly. Okay? So that is now, we will start with the second chapter. Ashok, you had a question?
Yes. Talk about the potential in awareness, which we named it as Maya, the potential. And from which the universe, the cause of the universe, which we call Ishwar. And that Ishwar also, when the pralaya or when the collapse takes place, when it goes back to the awareness as potential, Ishwar also goes back.
Exactly, because see, Ishvara, as I told you, please don't imagine there are four entities here, right? One is awareness, the next one is potential, then there is Ishvara, and then there is Jiva. So what we are trying to show is, all that is here is one. And what is that one? Now, but at the same time, you see many. So it has to account for how is this many possible. And this many that you see is also not just randomly there. It has a certain intelligence there. So therefore, the subsequent things are explained. And what, before the manifestation, you cannot have you cannot manifest something that you don't know about. So therefore, before any manifestation, forget the whole universe and all, any manifestation comes into being, then it has to be potential. And that potential involves what? Knowledge of that thing that you want to manifest, and also the power to manifest, right? So the awareness, when it is seen with reference to its potential to manifest without undergoing any change, like in your dream, right? You don't become mountains, you don't become time, you don't become space. You actually, even you can be without that potential. You don't depend upon the potential. The potential depends upon your existence. Okay? So So that means this potential is called what we call Maya. Okay? Now when the Maya becomes manifest, the potential becomes manifest, it gets another name. Like Utah, she was very unhappy that I used her example. She came and she said, everybody's going to watch me on the internet, on the YouTube. You will become famous, Utah. Yeah, so don't worry about that. Okay, now she'll be again angry with me. She'll say, why did you tell this to everyone? Okay, no problem. Okay, so what it means is, right? So what it means is that the same person and the same potentiality, when something else comes into manifestation, which is what the child, it gets another name, yet another name. Please don't think Ishvara goes away and Maya comes. You see what I mean? You have to be very careful and listen carefully so that you understand. It's not like, oh, now Ishvara is gone and Maya has come. No. All that is here is what? Knowledge and power. When we think about it from the standpoint of potential, you can't call it the cause of the universe. Why can't you call it the cause of the universe? Because universe is yet to come. As simple as that. Okay? So therefore, it is potential. But the same knowledge and power, when it manifests as time, space, and object universe, you call it what? The cause of the universe. Because without this knowledge and power, you will not see the time, you will not see the space, and you will not see all these different objects. Okay? And now, within this universe, each entity exists, not knowing the reality. Neither we know the awareness, nor we know the potential, nor we know the all knowledge and power that is behind every form. So without Vedanta, we live only knowing forms. And even if we know laws, we still don't know all knowledge and all power. Suppose you come to know gravity. Suppose you come to know the law of thermodynamics. Suppose you come to know law of what? They are all hanging separately. You still don't know all knowledge and all power. And this is a manifestation of the laws. And itself is not only the laws, it is also what? The forms. And even when the forms and the laws disappear, it is in potential. So that means your thinking has to reach what Vedanta is saying, right? So Ishvara, which is, if you define, this is why in answer to Susan's question, because she was asking that the manifest is, suppose you call Ishvara, and unmanifest, suppose you call Maya, then what? Both are always there, exactly, right? They are both always there. So sometimes, from the standpoint of the causality, you can give it a different name. But if you can't understand Maya and Ishvara as two different things. Do you understand? Because that causality also exists now. You see what I mean? Within Ishvara. Because tomorrow is yet to come. It is still in potential. So you have different expressions. One expression says, before creation, there is no cause of creation because the creation is yet to come. So you give a name called Maya. But the other way, which is what within all knowledge and all power, there is a power to manifest and unmanifest. So you can say that Ishvara is in form of the universe, while the universe is manifest. And Ishvara is what? As the cause of the universe, also is in potential. Both expressions you can use. This is why the Upanishads keep using different expressions so that you don't get stuck in one understanding. See, our mind is so much towards duality. Suppose I give different terminologies. You start imagining there are different entities, but they are not. It's capturing this reality from so many phenomena and making you understand this phenomena, showing all the differences that exist here and now.
My second question.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why we say it is anadi and it is ananta. It is without any beginning, because even after the time collapses, it survives in potential form. And then there are cycles of creation. Right? So they are anadi and ananta. The only thing, and the awareness, sat and chit, is also ananta, but it is what? Kutastha Nitya. It itself doesn't undergo any change. It is not undergoing change. Okay? Only within that, only jiva is what? Anadi, because it is connected to avarana shakti of Maya, the veiling power, which is also anadi. But it can be lifted with this knowledge, so it is not ananta. Ignorance can go for an individual. But when it goes for one individual, it doesn't mean it goes for every individual. This is why each one has to do antakarna shuddhi, each one has to pursue knowledge, each one has to do their own job. Right? And this is why, as Susan said, there is no something called collective rising as humanity. Yes, we may. At the same time, there is always going to be differences. Suppose all of us studying with Swamiji for 3.5 years, do you think that each one understood exactly everything exactly? There are differences. Obviously there are differences. So that means at no given point in time, the humanity is all of every form is going to be all at equal level. That's not possible.
My second question was regarding when you said in a dream when you're creating, you see, and when you wake up, everything is destroyed. But my question is, sometimes in a dream, if you see a tiger pouncing on you when you wake up, so the tiger disappears, but when you get up, your heart is still pumping, that is real.
Yeah.
So what is that link? That how come that will be transferred in the waking state? Yeah.
See, the mind is something which is, in this case, the mode is you are still carrying the mind, which was dreaming. And the mind is awake, the experience is gone, but the impression of that experience the mind carries. Right? And the same thing, like I think Mrinalini was asking is exactly the same. Suppose you sit here and I show you all this, and suppose you have a good ability to understand and you have good samskaras and all, and suppose you understand, you go back there and what will happen? The same mind which seems to have understood all of this is again oh my God, oh this happened now, oh no, it was all now, there's a lizard, oh my God. Same mind.
No.
So that means what will happen is, this is how it is. So what happens is, you can say, but how can you say that here and then that? Have it. That is why we need Vididhyasana. But Vididhyasana means what? That you have to, not that keep on blindly telling yourself, I'm awareness. That will make you fool. So what you need to understand is, yes, that is the truth. But then there are levels here. Your mind cannot just forget all the levels and only try to be established in that. When your mind is able to capture everything, and while you're dealing with this, you don't lose sight of this, but you're not in negation of this. That is when we call and your responses are all appropriate. That is when we call that the knowledge is clear. So that means there is clarity all the way. Right? It's not like one thing I understand in the classroom, and then another thing. There is no spillover. Like in this case, the example that you're giving is the two states are different, which is dream and waking, but there is still carry forward in the waking of what you experience. that I understand, but the carry forward of your, if you have not totally worked on yourself, the carry forward of that will continue till everything is aligned. Yeah. Is it clear?
It's the same mind.
Yeah, it's the same mind, exactly.
What is dreaming
Which
and
is,
what is waking.
exactly. And it's the same thing. It's the same mind that is confused about things, and the same mind is listening to Vedanta. So that means sometimes it can come back. That's why so much emphasis on preparing yourself. And that current should be is a very big part of Vedanta. Okay. Now, let's go on to chapter 2. And here it shows the difficulty of knowing. And this is where, now is actually, to tell you the truth, the entire teaching is over. We've looked at who you are. We have looked at what is Ishvara. And we have also looked at that yes, that you and Ishvara are what? At the level of appearance, there is a difference. You are one individual, Ishvara is all knowledge and all power. But where is their equation? In awareness. So all that is hopefully understood. Now, what is there to teach? Now, Upanishad, what it has to do is kind of highlight a few parts here and there, so that in case you misunderstood, then what it is corrected. Clear? Okay. Chapter 2. Yadi manyase suveda iti daharam eva api nunam tvam vetha brahmana rupam yadasya deveshu atha nu mimamsyam eva te manye vivitam. Okay? So here he says, the teacher says, if you think, I know Brahman very well, then you know only very little of Brahman's nature. Okay? Now, what does it mean? As I told you, as a habit, the only way we have known things so far is by creating images. That's the only way we have known. So that naturally our mind is going to try to create some image of awareness. And suppose you create that image of awareness and you think this is what awareness is, what will happen?
You are wrong.
You haven't got it. Right? So what you can do is exactly what Surya did in meditation. See, because what happens is the mind's tendency is always to go towards images, right? Because that's what it is used to. So now suppose it goes through one image, flower. So that our mind is used to only stopping there. Flower is a flower. What you can do is, where there is flower, there is what? The intelligence which makes the stem, knowledge and power, which makes stem what it is, which makes every petal what it is, which makes every what? This pollen what it is, which makes the fragrance that comes out. So that means without denial of forms, please listen to this carefully. You are not brushing aside the forms. In the forms, keeping the forms as they are, what you are doing is seeing something which is not normally available through your perception, but it is available through your knowledge, pramana. So that means that, what you are doing there is what you are seeing, the all knowledge and all, one of the manifestations of all knowledge and all power, which makes each of these arrangements in such a coherent manner to make the flower what it is. So you are not trying to get rid of images, you are trying to see something more than what the images reveal through the eyes. You understand? Now, suppose you also can bring in mind that this flower, which is a rose, has the potential to survive. How long does the rose survive fresh? 2 days. Right? So that means it carries along with it the potential to survive for 2 days. And every minute, small changes are going to take place. In 2 days, you will see that it is gone. So that means, without displacing flower, you will not only see all knowledge and all power, but that all knowledge and all power will what? Make small shifts in this flower that you see. Every second, in order for this flower to what? Survive for 2 days and go away after 2 days.
So it manifested.
Who said what?
I said manifested.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. The potential is there. Right? Now, if I begin to look into a petal. Petal is nothing but atoms. Atoms is nothing but particles. So then it will all reduce. And then there is awareness unto which everything goes. So that means you, without denial of form, what you are doing is bringing the teaching and seeing
Awareness, Ishwar, Maya,
in
that flow.
Super. What you are seeing is exactly, right? You are seeing form, which is what an individual entity. Then you are seeing Ishvara, you are seeing Maya, and you are seeing the final truth. And you are seeing how they are all arranged, in which order. So that way, if you take anything in this universe, so that means your mind, see, so this is, Swamiji used to say in meditation, generally what we try to do is keep trying to see what awareness is, not anything else. Now, the whole attempt is different. Wherever I'm not afraid of images, wherever the mind goes, that's where there is awareness.
So it's easy to remember awareness.
So that
Maya.
then the question of I forget this teaching, how can I retain this teaching, that question will disappear. Because that question comes from having to all the time remember awareness, and kind of totally disregard what is in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. That's a problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that in order to do that, what did we do in meditation? He made you see the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
He made you see the river.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, God, where there is this mountain, there is the knowledge of you which created that mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any physical distance between the mountain and the knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
No. Where there is knowledge, that's where you are. So that means, is there any physical distance between the mountain and you and your knowledge? It's all there. So that means your mind is alive to everything that is there. Before you've been only seeing one thing, which is the mountain. Now your thinking has reached to, without denying the presence of mountain, it has moved in so many different ways to take you to awareness. But all the other things are also there. Knowledge is there, potential is there, awareness is there. So that is what it says. Yatra yatra manoyati. Let the mind fall on anything. Don't be afraid. It can't be outside Ishvara and it can't be outside awareness. So you're not trying to keep mind away from everything and go into, park into awareness. this is how the knowledge becomes totally clear. Without any denial. You are not in denial of forms. You are not in denial of Ishvara. You are not in any denial. There is only clarity. When you have that type of clarity, complex situations can come in front of you. Like Lord Krishna's life, the person is able to deal with extremely complex situations. Because there is no denial, there is no mix-up. Very intelligently. Because if the form has to deal with the situation that has come up, it can't only remember awareness, it has to remember Ishvara's order and all the laws. And has to figure out what I need to do right now in when the situation has presented itself. So that means no situation is capable of taking you away from your knowledge. Understand that? Otherwise what happens? Situations arise and the whole teaching is gone. No situations is capable, because every situation that arises in it is what? The situation, Ishvara and awareness, without which the situation itself is not possible. And your capacity to respond. So that means that then life becomes a smooth walkover. Not because situations don't come, but because there is clarity. So please don't try to recreate levels of mind. That will never work, because the mind which was there, it has changed. Mind has to change. In the changing mind and in the changing world, the vision has to remain what? The same. The same. So that is what we call knowledge. So if you know it as an object, then he says you don't know anything. Then what? Okay. Now, and also, see, one of the common things which kind of doesn't make people now see the knowledge is the whole. The teaching is over. So now, what are the verses? Hey, now if you understood it like this, no. So what will happen? You will correct it. You see what I mean? So it's a very interesting method, because it will go back and tell you, hey, this is not what I mean. You see what I mean? Because it knows how human mind works. So the next one is, that is now telling you that who was sitting down there? It was Shingi. Where is Shingi? She's not here.
She's here.
Oh, she's there. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see. Okay. Shingi was telling me, she was sitting down here. No, and it's true. What you said is what is said in Upanishad. So that's why I'm giving it. Okay. So she was sitting down there, and she was just sitting here. And I said, hey Shingi, what are you doing? She says, I'm trying to contemplate that what is here is also out there. And this is what he's saying. He's saying that what the nature of awareness that we are talking about is what not restricted to your personal anything. So here he says that yat asya tvam yat asya deveshu. What it means is what is here is also there in devas. What are the devas? Now you have to understand. Now we have one more term. We had what? Ishvara, Maya, Jiva, and now there is one more term called Deva. What is Deva? Huh?
Jiva, it's a jiva with a more refined body and mind.
Wonderful. Yeah. So that means what we do, there are jivas, so please don't think that only on earth there is life. So imagine the magnitude of universe. How big is the universe? Even our Milky Way galaxy is what? Huge. But there are multiple galaxies. So if you think that about the magnitude of the universe, then can you think that only on earth there is life? We may have not found life anywhere else, but very much there is a possibility that there is life somewhere. And how will we find whether there is life somewhere else or not? Because we rely on our senses. So that means, suppose those forms are not within the scope of our eyes, even if there is a form, you will not see it. Like the amoeba is right now here, but your eyes are not designed to see it. Otherwise, what will happen? And Swamiji used to say, nobody will fall in love with anybody else. Why? Because your whole body is full of
Bacteria.
little amoebas that are not available. So your skin seems shining, glowing. Why? Because the things are all not within my perception range. So that means even if there are entities, right? But if they are not within your perception range, what will happen? You will miss it. There is a possibility. Sorry?
Your ignorance is bliss.
Here it makes you fall in love. See, that love. Okay. So therefore, and also see another thing. Not only I don't see this amoebas, but I only see a part of you, which is your skin. What is going behind? Suppose I started seeing your kidney functioning. All kinds of congestion, which is probably in your. Will I fall in love? So Ishvara is very clever. Only makes you see what it makes you want you to see. Through which what you can engage in this work.
So we don't have our own eyes inside otherwise.
Yeah, otherwise you will also see what all is going on down there. Exactly. So that means, what it means is that there are entities, and as there is a possibility that there are entities, and what Karl is saying is, Vedas talk about devas. Who are these devas? They are entities, but they have, devas refers to the entities which are more, they have subtle, what he explained is true, that they have more subtle senses, they have more subtle mind, so they are able to enjoy, and the objects are also more subtle, so that means they are able to enjoy more. So now, when we are talking about this awareness, are we talking about only here? What is here is also there. Even if you have never heard of any entity called Deva. But there are so many objects in this universe that are unknown to you. Right? There is not everything that is known to you in this universe. So even the unknown entities, they can't be out of what time and space. The time and space, they have different units. That is the possibility. So what we say is that the earth time may not be the same as outer space time. Why? Because the unit changes. Right? So there was this famous experiment, and that experiment is of two twins. It's an experiment which is not a physical experiment, it's a lab experiment that the scientists do. And that is that they find out, so suppose there are two twins, one is born, both are born on this earth, one stays on this earth and the other goes outside the earth atmosphere in this space. And suppose after 50 years of Earth time, the twin comes back to this Earth, then will they age exactly the same?
But the thing is that if the one who is like traveling is traveling, let's say at half the speed of light, or 1.8 the speed of light, or at the speed of light, okay, what will it change?
Yeah.
So speed of light, you know, no? What is the speed of light?
300,000
Kilometers per second.
Second.
Okay, so it's not a lab experiment. Okay? We are not reached there yet. So it's a thought experiment. Okay?
So that means they will all age differently. So therefore, so that means the units of time can be different. And this idea is very much there in the Vedas. What they do, we do this Shraddha ceremony. The Shraddha ceremony is the annual ceremony for ancestors. So what happens is that the ancestors, they have contributed to your life, whether you recognize or not, that you're carrying their genes, you're carrying their DNA, you're carrying so many things in you, which even if I ask you, what is your great-great-great-grandfather's name? You may not even know, but somehow you're carrying things. So therefore, what we do is we give gratitude, because who you are today is not only the function of what you think, that many people who are here and who are gone have contributed to you being who you are. So you don't take their presence for granted, and you show gratitude. So that annual gratitude for people, for your ancestors who are gone, is called Shraddha. Shraddha. Okay? Now, what they do is, it's annual, and what you do is, you offer them food. You offer them, prayers. So what they say is, in the Vedas, that 1 year of earth time is equivalent to 1 day of
Brahma.
1 day
Ancestor.
Pitruluka. Ancestors, Pitruluka time. So now if you are offering every year, they get it every day.
And you offer food, in fact.
And then you offer food. So when you do that, you also get their blessings. So that means the entities could be different, the time units can be different, but the same principle. It is the knowledge which makes that time different, the unit of time different from here. There is a form, whether it is available to your eyes or not, the principle remains exactly the same. There is a form, there is knowledge, all knowledge, which makes that form what it is. There is a potential which makes a different lifespan for that form. And then all of that exists in awareness. So that means whether your mind goes to something which is known or it is unknown, the reality remains the same. This is why this reality can be known 100%. Things of the past, Stone Age, the forms were very different, but this remains the same. 100 years from now, you see a lot of science fiction movies and they see that everything may appear very differently and so many things you can do which you didn't do and things like that, right? So flying cars and so many things are in offing, it may become a reality. Whether that happens or not, does this change? It doesn't change. So that means known and unknown, past or future. Anywhere, what this given thing doesn't change. So if I come to know that the presence of awareness We are talking about which magnitudes. We are not talking about this little individual and trying to fix it all the time and trying to get it to think bliss all the time. Please understand what is the magnitude that Vedanta is talking about and what we are busy trying to do, manipulate here. Do you understand? We are caught in our own obsession with trying to get this individuality to feel something. And this individuality to, some change constantly. What when I know something, what will change? So we are constantly obsessed with this individuality, we want it to be different. What is the knowledge? What is the knowledge? This reality has got nothing to do with what? This body and mind. What happens then? That is knowledge. This reality is from which the time has come, from space has come, from which this knowledge and power, potential, manifestation, cycles of manifestations exist in this reality. Itself doesn't change. So that means it is that very attempt is futile. So I loved what Shingi was trying to do, and which is what to see what is here is out there, anywhere. That leads to who showed expanse. Expanse of magnitude that you cannot, because it includes unknown. Because you can only expand to what you know. But the unknown, it also covers unknown. Unknown to your mind, but this doesn't change. The form is unknown to your mind, but this doesn't change. You see that? So that is what he says, that what is here is also everywhere, and that requires for your mind to capture the enormity of things. He says, Mimamsyam eva iti. Don't think that the first time you hear about it, your mind is going to reach and capture this reality totally. It requires Mimamsa. What is Mimamsa? Analysis. So that means within this teaching, which is, I liked what Vrinadini did. So within, she differentiated between meditation and contemplation. She said meditation is a karma, action. Nididhyasana is contemplation, and she called it pramana pravritti. What is pramana pravritti? It means that it is using the means of knowledge to see the reality. It has 3 operations. Do I have time?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have that Mimamsa is a very important part of learning.
Can you spell it?
Yeah.
M-I-M-A-N-S.
Yeah.
Verse 2.
Verse 1.
No. Okay. The Mimamsa is a very important thing which gives a certain strength to your knowledge. So, the pramana pravritti, when I say that Veda is a pramana, and Veda, through its words, they reveal what the reality is. Okay? And the words have to be used in a proper manner, with a proper methodology, in order for you to see your future. Okay? Now, how these words, with reference to the person who is listening. Okay? How do you use these words to understand the reality? Suppose the teacher is doing a good job, but you still have to do your job in order for knowledge to take place. Okay? So, this pramana pravritti means of knowledge. And pravritti is engaging. Engaging with this means of knowledge. See, this is not something which is only particular only to Vedanta. Please understand. Suppose, ask these doctors, they went and they studied medicine. Okay? So what did they do? In the first day you want to understand whole of gynecology. Is it possible? Everything? No. So there is a syllabus. What is a syllabus? The first year of medical school, which is anatomy, you have to learn anatomy, then you have to begin to understand the intricacies. So that means it moves you from one thing to the other. This is what we call, in order for the knowledge of gynecology to take place. So this is what we call pramana pravritti. If you want to know the body, then you need to engage in a pramana for a length of time before the knowledge is transferred to you. Okay? So that means there is what we call engaging in means of knowledge. That itself, with reference to Vedanta, has three things. One is called Shravanam. The other one is called Mananam. And the third is what we saw yesterday, Nidhi Yasana. Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. So each of these operations are required to understand what we call the words of Vedanta. A means of knowledge, which is here in this case it is Vedanta, which is delivered through words and the methodologies. Okay? The way words. Now when the words are used, the first thing, if the teacher, if you follow the tradition, what you need to do is, you have to make people through these words understand what Vedanta is, what we call Tatparya of Upanishad. What is it that the Upanishads are trying to convey? Is it talking about going to heaven? Is it talking about merging with Ishvara? Is it talking about I am part of Ishvara? Is it talking about I am Ishvara? What is it talking about?
Your true nature.
So that means what is important is, yeah, you can say my true nature, but I can, there are so many philosophies which say I am part of Ishvara. They think they know their true nature, but they think that I am, Ishvara is this big entity and I am part. Is that what Vedanta is trying to communicate? No. So that means, before, this is why people ask me, very common question, right? So you are studying Upanishad, whose interpretation it is? The minute you say it is an interpretation, what it means is, it's only your vision of what is. When you are studying a text, it has got nothing to do with what we saw yesterday, which she said, right? Any knowledge is Vastu Tattva. It is not Purusha Tattva. It's got nothing to do with what I think or what I don't think. It is to do with what is. So when I'm looking into Upanishads or Vedanta, which is a means of knowledge, it has got nothing to do with what I feel. I want God to be loving, hugging me and all, but God happens to be knowledge and power. Can God change to please me?
No.
No. So that means what you need to, that means it is pramana pravritti, means it has got nothing to do with what you like for it to be, what you feel comfortable with. what your images are. It is to do with what Upanishads are trying to tell you. So that means that through the competent the teacher, in fact, if you add your own interpretation, you will change the vision by adding your own stories to the vision. The utmost care we take not to add our own thing. The minute you add your own thing, what will happen? You will be soft. You make a slight error in understanding what it is and you go in your own trip. So therefore, this Shravanam, please don't think it is listening. It's not listening. It is Tatparya Nishchaya. What is Tatparya Nishchaya? Nishchaya is ascertaining and Tatparya is what Vedanta is trying to communicate through these words. You understand? Tatparya is the intention. What these words are meant for, because these words are meant for what you to know your true nature. So you have to understand those words exactly as they are, not add your own interpretations. Do you understand? Now, how do you know whether it is your own interpretation or you are capturing what Vedanta is saying accurately? Good question. Good. So that means even if you don't ask, I myself ask this question, right? So there is this ingenious way that you can figure out. If you are smart, the thing is, see, this is why every time, if it is the reality, your senses may not get it, your inference may not get it, but your logic, which is also a type of inference, cannot contradict it. That gives it the strength. Otherwise, how do you know? So every time you made a mistake, put it the other way. Every time you made a mistake, how do you know that it's a mistake? Because logically somebody can negate it. You understand? So how do you arrive at Tatparya Nishchaya? What is it what is Vedanta talking about? If you remember the first day, you may not remember, I remember what I said. Everything I say, I mean. Okay? So the first I said, these are Shad Darshana. When I talked about Shad Darshana, what did I say? They are all Vaidika schools. What does it mean? They all take Veda as a pramana. They all do pramana pravritti, but they all come to different conclusions. You have Vaisheshika, you have Nayayika, you have Sankhya, you have Yoga, you have Purva Mimamsa, and you have Uttar Mimamsa. They are all looking at, they all accept Veda as a means of knowledge. They all are engaging in Vedas to find out what is it that Veda has to offer to me. They have very different conclusions. So this Tatparya Nishchaya part is, suppose, so you can say, but if it's one reality, why the interpretations are different? So that's a common question. Why interpretations are different? Some have added their own
Ignorance.
Huh?
Ignorance.
Yeah, absolutely. And the minute you add your own little ignorance, you go somewhere else. You can be very bright and you can make one whole philosophy out of it. So that means the only way to, because if Vedanta is really the pramana, it has to have two conditions. Things within things within things. If it is a valid means of knowledge, it must have two conditions. One is what we call pramana. What is pramana? Means of knowledge. How do you know this is a valid means of knowledge, or that you are understanding what Vedanta is saying accurately. It has two, pramana has two things. Carl, you want to say something?
No, same thing, it's not against logic.
Yeah, wonderful. So that means there are two technical words that I am going to say. Pramana must qualify a valid means of knowledge, must meet two conditions. One is anadigatam. Anadigatam. And the other one is abaditam. Yeah. Anadigatam, wait, I'll write it. Anadigatam. And the other one is abaditam. What anadigatam means is, if something you call a valid means of knowledge, it has to give you knowledge about something which is not available to other means of knowledge. What I mean by that is, why do I call years a valid means of knowledge?
Because only through the ears we can hear the sound.
Excellent, right? I can call years a valid means of knowledge because only years can engage in what? At the level of sound. Without ears, you can't hear the sounds. This is why we call it an appropriate means of knowledge. It is not replaceable. You can't say, today I want to use my sense of touch to hear the sound. It's not possible. So that means it has its own special sphere, which is its special sphere. Nothing else can replace it. It is irreplaceable and it gives you the knowledge of sound. This is what we call anadigatam. Nothing else can do the job that the ears can do. The ears hear, nothing else can do that job. That is called anadigatam. Not available for any other means of knowledge. It has its special sphere of activity. Correct? Now, the other one is abaditam. But what it gives you also has to be non-negatable. So yesterday Savita was giving an example and she was saying that suppose you said, oh, today I'm hearing all these wonderful sounds of Mozart. You're sitting here. I know there's some concert playing. Is everybody hearing that? No. So it becomes negated. Then you're called what? What is the name? Hallucination. It's called hallucination. So what it means is that you can have ears, but you can hear the sounds which don't exist. So therefore, that is not called knowledge. So therefore, that is called hallucination. So that means it gets badhitam. Badhitam means it gets negated. Suppose she makes a statement, I am hearing this beautiful concert of Mozart. It gets negated by rest of us. This is not getting negated. Okay? So that means that in order for pramana to say it is giving me a valid means of knowledge, it must meet two conditions. Anadigatam and abaditam. It has to give me the knowledge which other means of knowledge cannot give me, and what I get is not negatable. Okay? So now, how do I know that the words that Vedanta give are a valid means of knowledge? They have to meet these two conditions. If they don't meet these two conditions, I'm again all flying in the air. The words of Vedanta have to give me knowledge of something which other means of knowledge, like my senses and inference, cannot give. If it gives me knowledge knowledge of something that my senses and my inference can give, I don't need Vedanta as an independent means of knowledge. You understand? It has a special sphere, like your ears have a special sphere. Nobody else can do the job. So therefore, Anadikatam here, does Vedanta qualify that? Because it's talking about nature of Atma, which none of the other means of knowledge can get. So does it meet this condition of Anadikatam? Yes. Because it is showing you something which by definition cannot be objectified. Okay? Now, it also has to, in order for it to be valid, it also has to meet the second condition of Aditam. That means there is, even though logic alone cannot get there, but there is no logic in the world which can contradict it. If it gets contradicted, then it is again not valid. So that means, suppose everybody is looking at Vedanta and they have 6 different or 100 different ways of interpreting what Vedanta says. One has understood what exactly Vedanta is saying. All of them have made some mistake. How do you know this is right and others have made mistake? Exactly. Logic is the only way. If this is not corresponding to reality, it will fall apart somewhere in your logic, in your debates. It will be contradicted. I can show you that this is not right. This is how Adi Shankaracharya had debates with all these great scholars, and he won all the debates. Not because he was not interpreting Vedanta. He was trying to understand what is, without adding his own interpretations. So that means they are what Vedanta says in order for it to be valid. How do you know whether you have actually captured the intention of Vedanta or you are adding your own thing? If you are adding your own thing, and if people are smart, if people are not smart, they just sit and listen to anything that you say. But if people are smart, what will happen? They will find the logical contradiction in what you are saying. Okay? So that is what we say. Tatparya Nishchaya is not a small thing. It's not like, oh, I'm listening to Vedanta. It's a very important function of Pramana Pravritti. When you engage in Pramana, you have to be alert and figure out what Vedanta is talking about. It's not like, oh, you are saying this, wonderful. I'm saying this, wonderful. Let us all be right. No knowledge is like that. Right? Knowledge is vastu. It has to be in keeping with what is. It's not like I feel like this and you feel like this, so let us all hug each other and love each other. Yeah, you can still love the person, but you cannot agree that this is what it is. Right? That is 2 separate things. So therefore, Pramana Pravritti is this is what we call Tatparya Nishchaya. The method through which you establish that what is the intention of Shruti, because these words are not my words, they are Shruti's words. So I have to take utmost care to not add my own coloration. This is why language and expression becomes extremely critical. As it is not easy to understand. Imagine the teacher starts using the words loosely. And mixes up everything. So what will happen? There will be nothing but khichdi in your head. All mixed up. This is why sometimes people ask me, so why after the prayers you are quiet? I'm quiet because before every class, I really, and I mean it, I pray that let not my thinking interfere in transferring this knowledge. This knowledge is too big, it's too sacred. You if you think you are over smart and try to interfere with it, what will happen? You will make a mess of it. The utmost integrity has to be there to say it has got nothing to do with what I feel, what I want it to be, what I am comfortable with. It is to do with what is. Let my mind go to what is. So this is what we call backward inertia. Suppose you understand, oh, okay, Vedanta is not talking about some Ishvara which is big entity and I am separate from it or I am part of it. There is total identity at one place. Suppose you understand this is what the vision of Vedanta is, but that still doesn't mean that you have understood the vision completely. You know what Vedanta wants to say clearly, what is the intention of Vedanta, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you understand and you have captured it completely. So therefore, there is a second process which is reference to you, which is what? Removing your doubts. So suppose I understand that Ishwar, Vedanta is saying that I and Ishwara are one. It's not just art and the whole, but really there is an identity. Like water is only one, there is no parts in reality. Suppose you understand that, but that still doesn't mean that you just get the fact that, oh, I'm limitless. That means there are many doubts which are your personal doubts of how this can be and how is this a reality. You understand? One is with reference to what Vedanta is talking about. Second is with reference to, do I understand what Vedanta is talking about? You see? So therefore, within Vedanta, there is a methodology. So, what doubts are raised? Suppose I make a statement, then what I will do? Oh, but why so? Or why can't it be like this? What am I doing? I'm not just telling you what it is, but I'm also, why so? What will it do? It refines. Because you need, if you have really understood, you have to give some reason why it is. Not just because I think it is. You see that? So this whole process of mananam is having your doubts resolved. So what we do within methodology itself, they create doubts. They ask questions and they answer. The purpose of that is exactly as Susan is saying, to actually remove doubts. So suppose we expose you to doubts of some X philosophy. What is the purpose? It's not to criticize that other philosophy. It is to give you clarity. Please keep in mind. Right? We are not here to sit and judge everyone and say they are wrong, they are wrong, they are wrong. No one need to know. Right? The only thing is that if you are holding on to that kind of an image, that is not an accurate image. So therefore, and I show you where, if you are holding to that image, where does the logic fall off? Logically, you can negate it. So, mananam refers to removing your personal doubts. So that, for that, in the teaching itself, there is a methodology. It raises doubts and it answers, which contributes to your clarity. What is the other method? You yourself ask questions. That is also a very important method. Because your personal questions, your personal thing, you have to expose. So I was talking before the class to Timur and Stefan and Andre. And it's interesting because they said the only way, the only way I know what's going on in your mind is what? When you ask questions. Exactly. When you ask questions. Otherwise I have no clue what you've understood, what you've not understood. I'm thinking I'm doing a great job of teaching. I have no clue what's going on in your mind. Do you see that? So engaging, interaction is a very, very important thing, because that's when the teacher comes to know where the student is coming from and has an opportunity to correct if it is not accurate and to clarify, which actually, even if somebody else didn't have that doubt, they may have not understood it completely, but your doubt helps somebody else to understand it better. So that means not we expose ourselves to all the possible doubts. That's how we make our knowledge solid, unshakable. It's not like, oh, I can talk about Vedanta, and the minute some physicist is there, I'll say, oh no, I don't know. It's not that. That's not called knowledge. It's all some ideas your mind has. Wonderful. Wonderful. That's a starting point. But don't mistake it for knowledge. Okay? Yeah. Andrew.
Could we say that at the Mananam level,
Yeah.
the knowledge is still intellectual?
See, at no given point, this is what I keep saying. See, Vedanta requires a lot of rigorous thinking, but don't forget, the subject matter of Vedanta can never be intellectual. It is I am. So that means it is showing me my true nature, and my mix-up is so complex, it has to give me several reasons, very intricate reasons to help me see myself clearly and not continue to mix it up with something else. So every knowledge has to take place in the mind. So in that sense, yes, it is in the mind, but you can't call it intellectual knowledge. Why? Because it's not intellectualizing about something and then later on it becomes direct. No, the subject matter of Vedanta is such, it is something which is always with you, it is immediate, and through this inquiry, it has to give you insight into your true nature. Each inquiry, each removal of doubt has to take you closer to yourself. It's not called intellectual and then later on owning it up.
To myself, I say that everything that is only knowledge.
Huh?
Everything that is only knowledge, because it boils down to knowledge when you break it down. So when you say, I want to understand reality, then it is about knowledge. You cannot say any other one.
Exactly. So don't create two separate processes. One is intellectual and the other one is kind of making that intellectual your own. Because it is about you, right? So the logics are used to take you closer to yourself. Every time you remove a doubt, what happens? You're removing your adhyasa in that area and you're coming closer to your... It's not like something is out there and later on, through doubts and all, and I'm only intellectual and then I'll own it up. It'll never happen like that. Because the nature of inquiry is you, which is always with you. So with every removal of doubt, you come closer to yourself rather than building something out there and then all of a sudden coming to yourself. Did I answer you?
Yes. I just wanted to, I guess that's where I was going at. What I was pointing out is that at Mananam, perhaps the knowledge still, the picture is clear.
May or may not be.
Yeah, it's clear, but the I am is still not absolute.
Yeah.
So by the removal of those doubts, it slowly becomes more and more clear.
More and more
So that would be Mananam.
Yes, that would be Mananam. Exactly. That would be Mananam. So that means as you remove your doubts, your mind is able to understand the nature of Atma more and more clearly. Right? At least this, suppose the first thing people do is what? Suppose I say awareness is the subject and everything else is an object. The first thing that our mind does is what? Create some kind of awareness here and everything else out there. That is not accurate. So that means when you listen to Vedanta, Satya Mithya relationship, what you'll understand, oh my God, I'm creating distance between things where there is no distance. You see what I mean?
Yes, now a doubt comes. This sounds very similar to Nididhyasana.
Okay. So I'm coming to Nididhyasana a little later. Okay. Surya is pointing out it's 1. Okay? So now, did you understand? Sajini had one
I
question.
was just taking up what he said. So it's not a linear or sequential process.
No.
It's just interwoven.
Absolutely. But exactly, it is interwoven, absolutely, but they are all different. It refers to different things that are going on, right? One is trying to understand what Shastra is saying, the other one is what? Trying to ensure that what I understand is what Shastra is talking about. They are two different, but it doesn't mean that they are all linear, like first I do this, then I do this. It all continues together, absolutely. That's why I said in the teaching methodology itself that doubts are raised, right, and answered so that your understanding gets clearer.
I'm just kind of thinking about this intellectual knowledge and owning up, and what comes up is maybe this is what you were saying, the kind of the false images, removal of false images. So the first time I understand, as you say, we get a bunch of images, and then in Mananam we kind of correct them or resolve them until we have only the clear dense knowledge, so to speak. So it's not like, so the intellectual, when we think it's intellectual, it's actually a false image just. And then we get it right, then it's not intellectual, just means that we see how it is.
Exactly. So it's just a process of removing one thing after the other till your mind gets to where it has to go.
So it's either ignorance or it's knowledge, but yeah.
But within that, there is a partial removal of ignorance, right?
Increasing clarity.
Increasing clarity. Absolutely. Very good.
Because understanding of this is again and again saying that you don't go on adding what is in your mind.
Yes.
That's why in pure form we can get today also the knowledge which was so many 100 years back.
Absolutely. How does the transfer, I'll close with that if you have any other questions after tomorrow's class. What she's saying is absolutely right. How does this lineage, which is transferring of knowledge, how can it continue if we add our own things? It is only possible when we don't add our own things and we just transfer it as it is. That is why when you are using this pramana, it's a big responsibility. It's not some small thing, because if you add your own thing and you start teaching somebody else, you are actually confusing others. That's why to continue the lineage, what happens is we have to take utmost care that we don't add our own. Correct.
What you said, the knowledge is fixed, but the methods can.
Yeah, methods can change, methodology can change. You can use quantum physics, which was not there before. You can use neurosciences, which was not there before. But you can't change this accuracy of teaching.
Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om